A disgruntled receiver on a $120 million contract could be coming to Las Vegas, and the risk attached to that move is going to split this fan base right down the middle. One of the best guards in NFL history is quietly becoming a target this front office should already be tracking. The head coach just went on record about his defensive coordinator in a way that tells you exactly how this staff is built. And a sixth-round receiver is being called the biggest rookie bargain of the year for reasons worth paying attention to. Raider Nation, this one is for you. One name could make this offensive line the best in the entire NFL overnight, and that name is Quenton Nelson, the Indianapolis Colts guard who has been named to the Pro Bowl in each of the last 8 seasons and earned his 6th All-Pro honor in 2025. 8 straight Pro Bowls, 6 All-Pro selections. At 30 years old with no signs of slowing down, that is not a player who is declining. That is one of the best guards this league has ever seen still playing at an elite level. And according to NFL agent Joel Corey, the Colts may be at a crossroads when it comes to keeping him. The situation in Indianapolis is straightforward. The Colts need to re-sign both Nelson and running back Jonathan Taylor, and the math may not work for both of them. Unless one of them gets an extension soon, a franchise tag decision is coming next offseason. That creates a window for a team like the Raiders to step in and make a move. Here is what this would mean for Las Vegas. The Raiders already have Tyler Linderbaum at center and Kolton Miller at left tackle. Add Nelson at left guard, and suddenly this team has the best left tackle, left guard, and center combination in the NFL. That is not an exaggeration. That is what Linderbaum, Nelson, and Miller together would look like on paper and on the field. The cost of acquiring Nelson likely would not break the bank in terms of draft capital. A late day 2 or early day 3 pick could be enough to get the deal done. The bigger challenge would be the extension. Corey projects Nelson would want to reset the guard market at around $27.5 to $29 million per year, which would make him the highest paid guard in the NFL. The Raiders have an estimated $72 million available in 2027 cap space, but they also have Brock Bowers to re-sign. This is a situation to watch closely, not a move to make impulsively. But if the Colts decide to move on from Nelson, John Spytek needs to be the first person on the phone with Indianapolis, because opportunities to add a player of this caliber do not come around often. Clint Kubiak made something crystal clear this week, and it centers around one person. Rob Leonard is running this defense, and Kubiak is not micromanaging it. Kubiak said it straight to reporters. Leonard is running the show. He is calling periods in OTAs. He has full control of his unit, and Kubiak's job is to trust him, support him, and focus on orchestrating the offense while Leonard handles everything on the other side of the ball. That is a significant statement from a first-year head coach about a first-year defensive coordinator. Let that sink in for a second. Neither of these men has held their current title before. Kubiak has never been a head coach at the NFL level. Leonard has never been a defensive coordinator. And they are building this defense together from scratch, on a roster that is still in the middle of a rebuild. Now here is the honest truth about this situation. Kubiak's confidence in Leonard is either going to look like one of the smartest decisions this franchise has made in years, or it is going to be the thing people point to when they ask what went wrong. There is no middle ground with a bet like this. Kubiak himself acknowledged that this is an unusual approach. Most coaches in his position bring in experienced coordinators with proven track records to help carry the load in year one. Kubiak went the other direction entirely. He promoted Leonard, surrounded him with veteran assistants like defensive pass game coordinator Joe Woods, and handed him the keys. The trust is clearly there. Kubiak called Leonard and special teams coordinator Joe DeCamillis 2 phenomenal coaches and made clear he is not second-guessing that decision. And honestly, there is something worth respecting about a head coach who knows what he does best and builds his staff to complement that rather than trying to control everything himself. Kubiak is an offensive mind. He knows his ceiling is higher when he can focus entirely on that side of the ball. Leonard getting the full autonomy to build and run this defense is how Kubiak maximizes both of them at the same time. But Raider Nation has been burned by organizational trust before, and the only thing that matters in the end is whether Leonard delivers when the games count. Nelson could make this line the best in the NFL overnight, and Kubiak is giving Leonard full control of this defense with 0 prior coordinator experience. 2 massive bets at the same time. So here is the question. Do you trust Kubiak's decision to hand Leonard the keys? Or does having two first-time coordinators on both sides of the ball have you worried? Drop it in the comments and subscribe if you are not part of this community yet, because the next story is the most divisive receiver conversation of this offseason. The receiver conversation in Las Vegas just got a lot more complicated with one name, Brandon Aiyuk, the San Francisco 49ers wide receiver on a $120 million contract who did not play a single game last season, has alienated himself from his team, and is now being floated as a trade target for the Raiders by Gary Davenport of Bleacher Report. And the moment you hear the name, you feel two completely different things at the same time, because that is exactly what this situation deserves. On one side, the talent is undeniable. The last time Aiyuk played a full season, he had 75 catches for 1,342 yards. That is an elite wide receiver producing at an elite level. If he is anywhere close to 100% healthy and the price is low, Bleacher Report's case is hard to dismiss. He could walk into Las Vegas and immediately become the #1 receiver on this roster. ESPN's Mina Kimes made a point that cuts even deeper. She said, when you think about Fernando Mendoza's skill set, those beautiful back shoulder balls, the out routes, the precision throws, there is not a single receiver on this roster right now who truly matches up well with what he does best. She said she would be on the phone gauging interest. And she is right that the football fit is real. But here is where it gets genuinely complicated. And this is the part Raider Nation cannot ignore. Aiyuk proved last season that he is not afraid to simply disappear if he is unhappy. He did not play a single game. He did not seem particularly worried about losing money either. A young team in the middle of a rebuild does not need that kind of distraction in the locker room before it has even established its own identity. The one thing working in the Raiders' favor here is that Clint Kubiak was on the 49ers coaching staff when Aiyuk was there. He knows this receiver personally. He knows whether Aiyuk is a culture fit for what he is trying to build in Las Vegas. If Kubiak believes the answer is yes, and the 49ers eat most of that contract, then the risk becomes worth taking. If the answer is no, then this front office needs to walk away and find another solution. The talent is there. The question is whether the person attached to it is ready to invest in something bigger than himself. The receiver room has a name most people are sleeping on right now, and his name is Malik Benson, a 6th-round pick who is being called fantasy football's biggest rookie bargain of the year, and whose situation in Las Vegas is more interesting than his draft position suggests. 6th-round receivers rarely make noise. That is just the reality of the position and the draft. But there are exceptions. Pierre Garçon carved out a long, productive career. Antonio Brown was a 6th-rounder who became one of the most dominant receivers of his generation. The round does not define the player. The opportunity does. And Benson's opportunity in Las Vegas is real. The receiver room beyond Brock Bowers is genuinely open. Trey Tucker, Jalen Nailor, and Jack Beck are all competing for targets, but none of them is guaranteed more than 5 targets per game. This is a mostly unproven group with real room for an outsider to break through and establish himself earlier than anyone expects. The fantasy community has Benson ranked as WR 128, with 4 Raiders receivers listed ahead of him. That is the market completely ignoring a fast, fearless receiver who is walking into one of the most target-available situations of any rookie in this class. And here is the part that makes this even more interesting. It is hard to imagine the Raiders keeping Fernando Mendoza on the sideline for long. This is not a playoff-caliber roster right now. There is no logical reason to ride a hot hand with Kirk Cousins indefinitely when the #1 overall pick is sitting on the bench developing. The moment Mendoza gets the keys, a young receiver who has been building chemistry with him from day one becomes even more valuable. 6th-round picks are not supposed to matter. Benson is in the right place at the right time with the right quarterback coming, and that combination has produced unexpected contributors before. Raider Nation should be paying attention to this name before the rest of the league catches up. Nelson available to transform this line, Kubiak handing Leonard full control in a massive leap of faith. Aiyuk sitting there with elite talent and real baggage, and Benson quietly positioned to surprise everyone in that receiver room. 4 stories, 1 question. Does this front office have the conviction to make the bold move this roster needs before week 1? Or are we going into 2026 still waiting? Drop your take in the comments and share this with every Raiders fan you know, because this one belongs to all of Raider Nation. This is the offseason where the Raiders find out what kind of front office they have. The coaching staff trusts each other. The talent is real. Training camp is coming, and week 1 is closer than it feels. And that is when everything being built right now either shows up on the field or it doesn't. Raider Nation has earned the right to demand more than promises. Drop your take in the comments. This space belongs to everyone who lives by just win, baby, and never walked away from the silver and black.